If you don't know who I am, it's time we meet. My name is Paula, and ain't that sweet? And here is why you should listen to me, because I have the answer to where you want to be. What I want you to know is that I'm not from here, and I had a very different career. Instead of getting a job like an average Jane, I'm a dancer and a singer, and I studied things arcane, like the brain, that taught me that most trainings are simply insane. They want you to be more motivated and productive. They want you to keep score and be very, very active. And then everyone says, that sounds so good, but you know they'll never do it, even if they should. I want you to know it's not your fault. I want you to take these trainings with a grain of salt, because there is a missing piece. Without that piece, it might as well be in Chinese. You will struggle and struggle and never reach expertise. But my trainings fill in the gap. So you will learn everything in a snap, because studying the brain made it perfectly clear that only the organized brain solves problems, my dear, no matter how severe. And you will have all your answers right here. Welcome to my show, One Solution to Everything, that has to do with your organized brain. We meet every Tuesday at this time to explore how your organized brain is going to help you solve many problems. And in the recent episodes, we were working on solving emotional issues. So let me introduce myself. My name is Paula Oleska, and I'm a mindset maverick, procrastination wrangler, a best-selling author, and the creator of the brain upgrade system that produces radical rapid results by blending magic and science. And I've been doing that for over 30 years. I've worked with over 8,000 people, I think. I haven't kept track very well, in 5 countries. And my clients have been urging me to start training practitioners. So I'm in the middle of training my first class of practitioners, and I'm recruiting my second class. I'm really happy to let you know about that. So the name of my company is Natural Intelligence Systems. That means that we unlock or unleash your inner intelligence or your inner genius in very natural ways. And that's why I like to start these episodes with this quote, which tells you that you have very powerful inner intelligence, that what lies behind you or before you is nothing in compared to what you have within you, which is your inner intelligence. And if you heard that you only use 10% of your brain, what happens to the rest of it, 90%? Why don't you use the 90% of your brain? Well, I'll tell you why, because that's the powerful secret that I have in my system. Because your natural intelligence is nonverbal, and therefore it's not talking to you in words. You have to learn a different way to talk to it. And that's why the underlying premise of all my shows is a switch from what I call the old paradigm to the new paradigm. The old paradigm is what you have experienced in all of your educational experiences, from grade school to grad school, and motivational courses, productivity courses, and any other self-improvement. They were all presented in the old paradigm, which is based on your mind. Your mind is very powerful, and you are supposed to use your mind to solve your problem, make decisions, change habits, change behavior, and solve your emotional issues. As you may have experienced, that is not really very effective. That works for a small number of people. So I was not satisfied with these solutions, and I looked for my own solutions. And that's why I created the new paradigm. I didn't actually create it, I just formulated it, because it's supported by neuroscience. So let me tell you what the neuroscience says and what is the new paradigm. Your brain is a communication network spread throughout your body. So many people confuse brain and mind, and they say brain when they actually mean mind. The brain is your physiology. This is how you process information on the body level. And as you find out in just a moment, your mind comes out of that activity. But first, let's look at the fact that your body is intelligent. It's holding all that information. Everything that you experience internally and externally is processed throughout your body, which is your brain. And that's where you have your inner intelligence. And your mind comes from the body. This is what neuroscience says. There is a branch of neuroscience called embodied cognition, which is, of course, my favorite branch of neuroscience. And this is what it says. I talked about it extensively in one of my previous segments, so I invite you to go back and watch it. So then the solution is that if you want to get real results, you need to engage that inner intelligence by engaging your body in very targeted ways. And that's why in my system, we create those radical, rapid results. And the results are just completely amazing. One of my practitioners told me that she was working with her teenage son so that he could do his laundry. And as you can imagine, his response was, nah, I don't want to do it. I don't have time. It's too complicated. I have other things to do. But he was willing to go through 30 minutes of a somatic activity, and I'll explain somatic later. And at the end of the 30 minutes, he said, it's not a big deal. Of course I can do it. Just show me which buttons to press. So this is what happens when we use this technique. And that's why I'm training practitioners to do it as well. So this is the essence of the new paradigm. And these principles are underlying everything I've been talking about in all of my episodes. And if you're interested to find out more theory, you can go back and watch some of them. And in today's episode, we are going to focus on resolving emotional issues to restore clarity of mind. And that is part 4, because in the previous 3 episodes, we discussed the first steps that lead up to that. So let me briefly summarize what we have talked about. We started with a fairy tale when a wise old woman helped a young woman, not a girl, a young woman, save her relationship by using a magic circle of rings and magic words. Well, that young woman was actually my client, and she indeed was able to save her relationship by using the tools I had given her. And then we talked about the fact that there is an emotional charge that we all know what that feels like. It's something that just gets under your skin and you can't get rid of it. But solving the emotional charge only solves part of the problem. And on top of that, the problem with that is that all the recommendation you hear in the mainstream everywhere, self-help and everywhere else, they are in old paradigm. They are mind-based. So such as, don't worry about it, it's not such a big deal, forget about it, or just do some breathing. So breathing, of course, engages your body, but it's only effective for a short amount of time when you focus on your breathing. And when you stop focusing on your breathing, you go back to having the same emotional charge. There is an underlying problem. So once you solve the emotional charge, there is another problem that needs to be solved for you to actually resolve that issue. And that's why I'm going through this extensive training to help you understand what it is, where it comes from, and what you need to do with it. So that old paradigm recommendations, how to deal with your emotions, literally fall on deaf ears, because your emotional brain the middle part of your brain, does not respond to words, logic, and reason. So if someone tells you, it's not a big deal, forget about it, it's usually not very effective, is it? I'm pretty sure that you are not able to do that. And now you know that it's not your fault, because that is completely misleading. Your emotional brain does not hear those words. You need to reach your emotional brain in completely different ways. And that's the magical part of this process, using movement, touch, and emotion. So we'll get to that gradually, but I want to let you know that you have an emotional part of your brain, and that part of your brain is very, very important. We'll get to that in a moment. But it doesn't respond to words. So don't try to talk yourself out of what you feel. It's much easier to just experience it. And we'll be talking more about that in our next episode. I also want to say that if you watched the previous 3 episodes, I think you enjoyed this summary. You need to refresh that information before we go into our next piece of information. And also, if you are dealing with emotional issues, this may be the most important series of videos that you will ever watch, because there is no system, based on my research, extensive research for many years, there is no system that helps you solve your emotional issues effectively on a deep level in such a way that they will not come back. Everything that you have experienced works. So meditation works, mindfulness works. They all work up to a point, but they do not resolve the underlying issue that I'm going to get to in a moment. I did talk about it in the previous segments. So in the previous segments, we also covered the information that emotions are somatic events. They happen on the body level, and they are like coughs and sneezes. They tell you that there is something you need to take care of. And since you wouldn't want to solve your cough with your mind, would you? Stop coughing, stop coughing, stop coughing. Well, it just doesn't work, does it? I think the most effective thing you can do is what we all do, is try to find out why you have it. So is it an allergy? Is it something in the air? Is it something you ate? Well, you need to explore that. And of course, this is the same approach we need to apply to our emotions. You need to find out why you have them. And since, as I mentioned, I have not found any solution in mainstream approaches, whether it was psychology or psychiatry or self-help or spirituality or any other modality, they really did not have a good enough solution. So I did my own research, which mostly considered of crying. I decided to, since everybody tells you not to get upset or like to move away from upsetting situations or emotions, I decided to do the opposite. So I cried for months and months and months and months because I wanted to get to the bottom of why I was so upset. And then I discovered it. And I shared that in the last episode. So are you ready? Your negative emotions are only there to alert you that your needs are not being met. You just can't get rid of them because they are telling you that your survival is at stake. If you don't get your needs met, you may not survive, either physically or emotionally. So they are tugging at your sleeve and saying, listen, 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 I have a very important message to tell you. So every time you tell yourself, I don't need to feel that, I shouldn't feel that, I shouldn't get angry, I shouldn't get scared, you are doing yourself a huge disservice. And that's why I said that this may be the most powerful, most valuable series of videos that you have ever watched if you're interested in resolving your emotional issues. So if you want to get rid of your negative emotions, you just need to learn how to get your needs met. It's that simple, but finding out what your needs are is not that simple, as I found out. And that's why I developed a process that is going to take you there. So now we can finally go back to the magic circle and the magic words which my clients used to save her relationship. And then when we add the magic moves, we can finally have the tools to resolve emotional issues. So we will cover the magic words in the next segment, but now it's time for magic. Here is the magic circle of rings. And you may be asking yourself or asking me, what is that? Well, it's a very magical circle. This is called Meridian Magic. When I was a child, I believed that everything was magical. But when I went to school, I became much more logical and I became very serious. However, when I came to New York, through different twists and turns, I started to discover magic again in very unexpected ways. And one of the ways was to learn about meridians. Meridians are very ancient magic. They were mapped out by Chinese medicine about 5,000 years ago, believe it or not, without CAT scans, X-rays, and all the other technology that we have today. And yet, they are very effective. And they are the foundation of all the modalities of Chinese medicine, including acupuncture, acupressure, shiatsu, and many other things. So that was my introduction or reintroduction to magic. And one of the models in which those meridians are organized is a circle, the magic circle of rings. In the circle of rings, each ring governs a specific emotion. And each circle also represents a different physical processes of your body. And that shows you that emotions really are somatic events. And then on top of that, you cannot eliminate any of the rings in a circle, even if they are labeled negative, because as I already told you, they are not really negative. But you cannot create a crooked circle. It will be completely out of balance. So why don't you say that with me? We don't want a crooked circle. We don't want a crooked circle, right? Because if you make the circle crooked, you'll be eliminating very important functions of your body. You want to eliminate your kidneys, or maybe your liver, or maybe your large intestine? Of course you don't. That would be very, 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 very unwise. And yet, when you block your negative emotions, this is what happens. You are interfering with some legitimate and powerful functions of your body. There is no separation between your mind, body, and emotions, and you need to learn how to work with them together. So to summarize this magic circle of rings proves that emotions are somatic events, which I have been repeating throughout this video, and there are no negative emotions, because you cannot make the circle crooked. And besides, the most important thing to remember is that the negative emotions are not really negative, because they are trying to alert you to the fact that your needs are not being met. Specific needs in specific situations. So if you get upset at your boss and you learn how to analyze that to get to the need underneath that, it's a different need compared to if you get irritated with your child that demands too much of your attention. There's a different need underneath that. So you need to learn how to be more introspective and understand your emotions, and then follow the thread to where your needs are. And that's what I teach in one of my programs called Radical Rapid Solutions is my overall program, but my program for solving emotional issues is Rapid Resolution System, because essentially that's what it does. So to review it again, all emotions are positive, and the reason why I introduced you to the magic circle of rings is because this will be the first step to getting your needs met. You will also need the magic words, and I will guide you through those words in our next segment. So what will happen when you get your needs met? You'll be happy, you'll be fulfilled, you'll make good decisions. And I see that in my clients all the time. They make better decisions. One of my clients is working on going ahead with her business. And because we do these activities in each of her sessions, she's making better decisions about how to run her business and not to listen to people who try to get her to do it differently. And on the other hand, if you don't learn how to get your needs met, you will be unhappy. You will be frustrated. You will be impatient. You will be irritable. You'll be anxious. And you may be wondering why you are unhappy and why you cannot resolve your problems. And the emotional upset leads to poor thinking and bad decisions, or not correct decisions, not the best decisions. Because as we all know, intense emotions override your thinking, they override your reason. So one of the benefits of overcoming or resolving your emotional issues, beyond just resolving the emotional charge, is that you're going to be thinking more clearly and making better decisions. So of course you wouldn't want to be unhappy, frustrated, irritable, and impatient. And that's why I will guide you in my next episode in how to use the magic circle of rings together with the magic words. And that will be the first step to really resolving your emotional issues, and the first step to getting your needs met. So stay tuned, come back next Tuesday, and I will guide you through this whole process. And in the meantime, if you'd like to find out how to solve your own emotional problems, or how unleashing your own inner intelligence is going to help you, support you in achieving your goals, please send me an email to paula@brainupgrade.biz to schedule your free consultation so we can strategize and take you from where you are to where you want to be, how to get there, and find out how I can support you in that process. So my email again is paula@brainupgrade.biz. I look forward to seeing you once you send me an email.